kick set, where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying? Cecil.
Yeah. You recording?
Yep. I really wish I had the original article for this one because it's written by, this is part of the article that was written by Stuart Anslow. I'm going to see if I can find this. But basically, just to paraphrase, Taekwondo, whether it's WTF or ITF, comes from Shotokan karate. Okay? Whether you want to admit it or not. Shotokan karate comes from Okinawan karate. So that means that when you really want to talk about what is or is not Taekwondo, you also have to include karate. So if we want to talk about the Taekwondo's black hole here, what we're talking about is the meanings and applications of the forms, okay? So I'm going to skip over a lot of this stuff, and I'm just going to talk about read from this part here. Please bear with me. According to the author and Shotokan historian Bruce Clayton, he offers a theory that pre-Shotokan karate, Okinawa Te, was an art practiced only by the palace guards for the defense of the king in Okinawa, and as such it was top secret. The king died in 1849, and thus the official secrecy sworn by all who studied was dissolved. Reading Clayton's work seems to offer that most of those wielding the work, most of those in the palace that were bodyguards, had normal jobs, but at times of defense of the king sprung into actions as bodyguards or protectors. Matsumura was a palace guard, and his student Itsuo worked in the palace also as a scribe and perhaps had a similar role in times of trouble. And Genshin Funakoshi, the man responsible for introducing karate to mainland Japan, was a student of Itsuo. The way I read it, it seems to imply that Funakoshi was a bodyguard in training, but not a full bodyguard, and as such had not learned the full bodyguarding system, and when the king died, his training was not completed as it was no longer required in this initial role. So it's possible that Funakoshi had learned Itsuo's kata, but not the fine details which were only filled in when a guard was to take it up as an official duty/job, and then sworn to the same secrecy of others. So Funakoshi didn't learn the finer details of the patterns, just the shell of punch, kick, and block. So it looks like Funakoshi didn't learn a complete system. And then as the echo gets further and further away from Okinawa Te, and this is stuff I've heard from other sources too, you tend to get what I call pretty much a percussive art, which is pretty much punch and kick. Okay. Now, I really don't have a problem with that per se, because I like the movements. But if you want to know how to get around that, honestly, my practical solution for getting around that is if your teacher just doesn't know, or you feel like maybe your teacher doesn't know, your teacher doesn't want to admit they don't know. If you want a practical solution, and this may be a long way around, but it works because it's worked for me. You go as far as you can with just a punch kick, including getting rank, etc. Then you cross-train in some grappling. Then you cross-train in some pressure points. Then you take some boxing lessons. Then you study some kung fu. Then you study some internal arts. So basically, you do like I do. You have your punch kick art as your home base, and then you cross-train in anything and everything as much as you can. Get to know what works for you, what doesn't, by friendly sparring sessions with people in your style, outside of your style, people who do something that's completely different from your style, and just be open to learning and learn. So that's basically how you feel the black hole. If you, for some reason, feel like either people don't want to share the secrets with you or they just don't know how to share the secrets with you, you can go out there and find it for yourself. Now, so I see on this page that someone mentioned Grandmaster Dillman. Okay? And I did this. I have made the acquaintance of Grandmaster Dillman. I think he's good, despite what idiots on the internet say. They don't know what he's talking about. It doesn't mean that individuals didn't utilize them in a more pragmatic manner prior to now. I'm certain karate instructors did. I know Taekwondo drill instructors did. George Dillman and others did. But the issue was that due to communication at the time, these were relatively small instances compared to the wave of punch, kick, block, kata patterns going around. It's not only with modern technology that insights, theories, research, evidence can be shared and discussed openly, that the relevance of it all becomes more of a force to be reckoned with. And of course, we need those that are willing to question and go against doctrines of the last 100 years. In essence, karate and Taekwondo have come full circle, and I and others feel it's time to embrace that and throw away the shackles of the past in order to gain a better future for the art that we love. So don't just go on what you think General Choi meant by the moves. Do the moves, play with the moves, study everything that's out there, because after all, you're just studying movement. You are just studying movement. And I'll read this last paragraph here, and then I'm going to close this video. Cecil's modifications resulted in huge changes in the way the art was taught. The emphasis was now placed firmly upon the development of physical fitness through the group practice of kata. The children will receive no instruction in the combative applications associated with the katas, and deliberately misleading labels were adopted for the various techniques. Today, it is Cecil's terminology that is most commonly used throughout the world, and it is vital to understanding why this terminology developed. When studying the combative application of the katas, remember that many of the names given to movements have no link with the movement's fighting application. Terms such as rising block or outer block stem from the watered-down karate taught to Okinawan school children and not the highly potent fighting art taught to the adults. When studying bunkai, be sure that the label does not mislead you. Cecil's changes also resulted in the teaching of kata without applications. The traditional practice had been to learn the kata, and then when it was a sufficient standard, and the student had gained the master's trust, the application would then be taught. However, now it's become the norm to teach the kata for its own sake, and the applications may never be taught, and sadly, as is sadly the case in the majority of karate schools today. Now, one more thing before I close. Also, just doing the forms, the katas for their own sake, there are people, I said this today in class, there are people who, for some reason, well, for various reasons, their brain just doesn't communicate with their body well. So going through the forms helps your brain learn how to talk to the body and form those neural pathways. Some instances I know are, for example, if somebody has dyspraxia, which is like physical dyslexia, or if the person doesn't have a lot of physical experience, they never played a sport where they had to use their body a lot, they never wrestled or did anything like that, or even played basketball, or they don't have a lot of what I call violence experience. Then learning these violent movements in a form are going to be a good way for them to get in touch with their body so that they can be taught after that how to use those movements to fight. So thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this with people like to talk about the martial arts. And peace. And now you know how to fill the black holes in Taekwondo.